Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
And welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It is Friday, the last day of May. It's also happy anniversary, Albert Bell, Fernando Vina. If you know, you know. His ears, I have a feeling, are still ringing. I'm Jay Crawford. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about the Cleveland Guardians. Where are they in baseball's power rankings? Bull.
Jay, I'm Adam the Bull, and the Cleveland Cavaliers traded a lot of draft picks last year for Donovan Mitchell, but they do have the 20th pick in this year's draft. Can they get a valuable player that can help them get to the NBA Finals? We'll discuss. G.
I'm G. Bush, and let's talk about Deshaun Watson tattoos and Super Bowls. Is Deshaun Watson going to win a Super Bowl here in Cleveland? I'll let you know. Watch the show. McNuggets.
I'm Mikey McNuggets, and Jose Ramirez is playing unbelievable baseball right now. Arguably the best player in major leagues, but why isn't he getting the MVP consideration he deserves? We'll discuss that and more coming up right now.
Because he's playing in Cleveland, and to your question, yes. I could be wrong.
Right.
That's just where I'm leaning right now. All right, let's talk about the Guardians. It's so funny how when we look at the season and how it unfolds, we always sort of discount the first quarter of the season at the end of the season. It's fun to look back and say, well, yeah, the Pirates ended up being who we thought they would be.
Right.
And there are a lot of folks around Major League Baseball who are saying that right now about the Cleveland Guardians. Nope, smoke and mirrors. They can't keep it up. We're into the second quarter of the season now, and here they are. I think they have the third best record in all of baseball, winning percentage-wise. ESPN has them in their most recent power rankings as the number 5 ranked team. Bull, is that too high, too low, or just right?
I think it's perfect. I do think the 4 teams ahead of them, even though the Dodgers and maybe the Orioles actually have a slightly worse record.
They do.
Those teams are better. Those are better baseball teams than the Guardians, and that. But I don't think there's anybody else that's clearly better than the Guardians. And the Guardians have played better than the Dodgers and better than the Orioles. The Orioles had played great earlier in the season. They haven't played quite as well lately. I did not think, listen, I thought the Guardians would be a solid team this year. I thought they'd be better than last year, but I didn't think they'd be anywhere close to this good. They've been phenomenal. Yes, there are some things like a Ben Lively and maybe David Fry that could collapse for them at some point. But there's not that many guys, if you really look at it, playing much better than they expected. Those are the two that are noticed.
This is the season I expected last year.
Yes.
And it didn't happen.
I don't even know if I expected it to be this good last year. I mean,
I
expected it to be good, but they're playing at a pace to win 100 games.
They are, and that's a surprise. And they've got another team in their division that is also playing on a 100-win pace.
Yes.
Which could make this summer just absolutely fascinating. The Braves I would have had ahead of the Guardians, but with the Acuna injury now, I mean,
they've also lost their best pitcher.
Yes, they've been riddled with stuff. So you look at them and say, you know what? I think if you're just comparing the two, the Guardians and the Braves, I feel comfortable putting the Guardians
right now,
up there.
the Braves might be better by the end of the year, but right now, definitely.
And I know the drum that you've been beating, and I'm on it too. This trade season for the Guardians is going to be critical. There are pieces in this team that are woefully underachieving.
Yes.
We're not getting a ton out of center field, shortstop, and catcher. That's up the middle when Bo Naylor's catching.
Right.
I don't know how attractive Arias and Naylor would be in trades. I think they would have been much more popular in trades 2 years ago before we've seen kind of with this extended playing time what they are. But they've got some pieces that could bring some real talent to Cleveland to help in this stretch run. And I hope they make moves because we could make an October run with this roster.
I look at the Orioles, and you said it. The Guardians are playing better than the Orioles right now. And if you look at a series, I would feel comfortable going into a series playing against the Orioles, right? And the other two teams, you talk about with the Dodgers and the Phillies are in the National League. So if you look at it, basically what they're saying is the Guardians right now are one of the best teams in the American League to have a shot to get to the World Series. You look at the Yankees, they can hit the ball, they're playing well. But listen, if you put us in a series with some of those teams, I like the chances with Guardians, especially because they're hitting the baseball better this year.
Let's do biggest concerns. What's your biggest concern right now for the Guardians?
Even though it's been pretty good overall, although it was terrible against Colorado, my biggest concern is still the depth of the starting rotation.
Yeah.
Because outside of Gavin Williams, there's really nobody else in the minors that can help. I don't trust Curry. Allen's last few starts before the Colorado start were good, but I think he's a back-end starter. Even though he's pitched well overall, I'm nervous about McKenzie. Lively's been great, but I don't know if he can keep it up. The only one I completely trust in the rotation is Bybee, and so I think they're going to need to go get a pitcher. I've mentioned Jesus Luzardo from the Marlins, who since he came back from the injured list has been lights out. I love him. They're willing to trade him. There's other guys in Toronto. There's teams that match up with the Guardians for a trade. The Toronto's a good matchup because Mark Shapiro's there. Obviously, they have that relationship.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest concern.
My concern's tied into yours. Mine is the bullpen.
Right.
They've just got too many miles on the tires already in the season. I think they're first, second, third in terms of relievers, innings pitched.
Yeah.
Our starters aren't going 5-6 innings.
That was mine.
That's going to catch up to you.
Yeah.
That is something that will show itself in June and July. When the bullpen gets tired, they falter. Right now, I think we have the best bullpen in baseball. I hope it stays that way.
You're not getting enough quality starts. You're not getting into after the fifth inning. You're not even getting to the sixth inning. So that's mine for the Guardians.
A couple quickies on the bullpen. I thought it was a good sign that Eli Morgan came off the injured list, and I thought he did a good job out of the pen in that game on Wednesday. And even though their pen is loaded and the best in baseball, I would still, like I mentioned, if they made a trade with the Blue Jays, go get Yimi Garcia, who's their best setup guy. He's not, he's a guy that just, you put him in the seventh inning and it's another veteran. They could use a veteran in that pen, too.
I should know this, but I don't. Karinchak, what's his timetable?
He's on the 60-day IL.
Yeah, I haven't heard
nothing.
I've heard not a word. They're deep in the bullpen.
Oh, yeah. They got a lot.
And we haven't even mentioned Chase Smith.
He's doing a great job.
Looks like
or Hunter Gaddis, who's been fantastic.
Hunter Gaddis, the bullpen has just been absolutely next level. All right, next up, Jose Ramirez recently had some interesting comments, maybe tongue-in-cheek, maybe not, when he was asked about the reaction to being walked with the bases loaded, which famously happened to Barry Bonds on multiple occasions. You're literally intentionally walked with the bases loaded. Hey, it's better to give up one run than have him potentially clear the bases. He said, I'm better than Barry Bonds. And everybody kind of chuckled at that. When you look at the people that are in the know on the MVP race, he's not in most people's top 3. I haven't seen him in anybody's top 5. Maybe he is. Are they overlooking Jose Ramirez as an MVP candidate?
I haven't seen any of these lists.
I saw 2 within the last week.
And he wasn't top 3.
Yeah.
I guess he probably is if he's not in the top 3. I mean, Aaron Judge has been just scorching hot, same as Ramirez.
Right.
And they've kind of been in the conversation. Ultimately, an MVP conversation in the end of May is pretty meaningless. I think smart baseball people understand that Jose Ramirez is great. I think people bring up the fact that he's from Cleveland. I think that's a factor. I think it's also, we talked about this the other day, you look at him and you're like, he looks a little pudgy. I'm not saying he is pudgy. He looks pudgy. It might be all muscle. I don't know. And he's short. He doesn't look like a great athlete. He is a great athlete.
Oh, it's tremendous.
But he doesn't look it to the...
Well, look at Babe Ruth.
Yeah, well, but you see him like next to Aaron Judge or Juan Soto, who are like these monsters.
He's not big in stature.
Yeah, so I wonder if that factors in. But absolutely, he belongs in the MVP conversation.
He leads baseball in RBI.
Right. And by the way, he added to that total with the best leadoff, or one of the best leadoff hitters, maybe the best leadoff hitter in baseball, gone for the last month.
He's doing exactly what he should do. He's taking a page out of Myles Garrett's playbook. Myles Garrett was like, look, I want to be Defensive Player of the Year. You have to say it to be on the radar. Then people will look at you. That's why he said he's better than Barry Bonds. Like, just being Jose is not going to get you where you need to go, right? You need not only smart baseball fans to vote, you need fair weather or guys who don't really follow the game to know your name. So I think he's drumming it up a little bit, and I think he's doing that because he wants to generate a buzz and put his name in that conversation.
One of the things that I think gets overlooked on his game is just how good of a base runner he is. He's so smart on the bases. Yeah. He always knows when the extra base is takeable. He seems to run when he steals on the right pitch.
Yep.
He's a cerebral player. A lot of people, I don't think, understand that because you don't hear him speak English, so you just think that you don't really know his personality much. Yeah. But for me, he's not number one in the race right now. But I think, and to your point, hell, it's not even June yet.
Yeah.
We'll have this conversation in August. I think what he's doing is sustainable for him. He's
100%.
healthy. He can do this and he's projecting to hit over 40 home runs and drive in over 120.
Well,
you're in the conversation.
Last year, he and Naylor combined to hit, I think, 41
home runs.
41
he could do that on his own.
Well, the two of them already have 31 between them. We're at the 1/3 point of the season. They had 41 last year. They have 31 this year.
All because the organization changed its philosophy and said, go ahead and swing away.
Yeah. Don't take 8 pitches.
And by the way, I don't know if it's officially yet, but Stephen Kwan was expected to be activated from the IL tonight.
Yes, which is appropriate because I think his bobblehead night or his jersey night is this homestand.
Yeah.
All right, we're taking a break. When we come back, interesting topic. Deshaun Watson has new tattoo art on his back. He left a space for something. We'll tell you why he left it open, and we'll also answer whether or not that was a good idea.
Yep.
True.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Deshaun Watson recently adding to his body art. Mike, this is interesting. Tell us what he did and what he didn't do.
Yeah, Deshaun decided to increase his tattoo game.
Yeah.
And he got his entire back tattooed with the story of his life. It includes homage to his childhood roots back in Georgia, to his days at Clemson, to Houston, to Cleveland now. And he has left one spot open on his back, and that is an empty Super Bowl ring that he hopes to eventually get filled in with the details from a Super Bowl he wins, and there it is. And we hope here in Cleveland that it happens with the Browns. So the question is, knowing he has that empty spot on his back with the tattoo that's being waited to fill in, if I gave you guys the over-under, if Vegas set the line at half a Super Bowl for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, would you take the over on half a Super Bowl, or would you take the under? Jay?
First of all, I love what he did. I love the idea. He's betting on himself. Because if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, he's going to have to answer that question for the rest of his life. Hey, what was this supposed to be? Now, I suppose he could always fill it in with national champion Clemson, but he may already have something on his back.
That.
Oh, so, I mean, this is an all-in bet on yourself, which I love. I love it when guys bet on yourself. Joe Flacco famously did it. There's been a million examples. However,
The butt's coming.
if I was playing with my money, I would take the under, just because of what I've seen from him or haven't seen from him over the last 3+ calendar years. Hope I'm wrong. God, I want to be wrong. But that's a big leap to go from where he is now to holding the Lombardi Trophy.
Go ahead, G.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you could have skipped over me. I am the general of the Kool-Aid Mafia. I do radio in the city of Cleveland, and you already know what it is with me and the G. Bush mob. Of course he's going to win the Super Bowl. What kind of question is that? Why would we bring him here to do he understands what the directive is. And I like the fact that he's calling it all the way out. We talked about Deshaun Watson and why we want him to get back to what he wants to do, which is being a top-notch athlete and being cocky about what he's doing. Make the vision clear. Write it down. When you visualize yourself, don't visualize yourself losing in a wild card round.
That's true.
You visualize you holding that Super Bowl up. And to hold yourself accountable, you just going to permanently put it there. It's the Jason Terry rules of success. And I
talk it into existence.
There it is.
Or ink it into existence.
Or fake it into existence, and then you can really live it, right, Bull?
How much do I have to bet is the question. If I have to bet $10, then I'll bet on the over.
No, that is a good part of this
question. I have to bet my house.
I always do these on Bet Your House.
All right, if I have to bet my house, then sadly I have to go under. Because, let's face it, I'd probably go under on any quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes winning a Super Bowl right now.
I'd take the over on Joe Burrow. I think he's going to get one.
I love the guy.
I think
and
he's going to
obviously
get
I trust him more than Deshaun right now. I'd still go under on Joe Burrow.
Would
probably.
You really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because it's hard to bet against anybody. First of all, the Chiefs are in a situation now. kind of like the Patriots were, where not only are they the best team, they're in a bad division.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
How much would you feel comfortable betting on Deshaun Watson?
$50.
$50, okay?
Not that much. I mean, you asked me this 2 years ago, I would have said 10 grand, 20
Yeah.
grand.
I got
don't know.
100. I got 100. I got 100 plus on it.
Yeah.
$100 or $100 grand?
100. No. The way my relationship works, it don't anything
No,
over.
that ain't happening.
You need a permission slip.
Yeah,
for anything
that
more
way,
than
the
50.
way that checking and savings work, that ain't going.
The reality. Listen, the Browns have a
Co-signer.
very good roster. We all know this. If you're judging teams in the NFL, not including quarterback, I'm going to put the Browns in my top 5. I don't know what the quarterback is right now. The other teams near the top, I have a much better idea of how good their quarterback is. For Deshaun, we don't know right now. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl. He bounces back this year and plays like he did in Houston, I'm going to feel a whole lot different.
We'll revisit this after this season.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Mikey, this is my favorite topic of the day because I can't wait to see what Bubba's thinking. What's his quote that has a lot of Browns fans excited?
Yeah, it's not just Bubba Ventrone. A bunch of different special teams coordinators, including the Kansas City Chiefs, have said something similar, that with the new NFL kickoff rules they're adopting this year, they're looking at new ways to integrate players into the kickoff and kick return teams to maybe eliminate kicker injuries and or accelerate the returns because it's not such a violent hit. Now, Bubba Ventrone was asked about this yesterday, and he said that some big-name players are volunteering for the kick return spot, and he said some of these names might surprise you. So my question is, who do you think he might be referring to?
So this isn't who I would pick, but I because he said it might surprise you, I immediately went to the guy that I would least expect, and that would be Myles Garrett.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
I mean, that's who I think he's.
Yep.
I mean, that'd be interesting.
Can you imagine trying to tackle that guy?
Yeah.
Remember, we talked about Myles Garrett being on goal line packages.
We have. We've never
And
seen it.
we've never
but-
seen it.
By the way, how much would Kevin Stefanski get killed by the fans if Myles Garrett got hurt doing that?
Which is why I would not expect it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like that. That's a really good answer.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought about was, but this is even more outrageous than Myles Garrett. Nick Chubb. Can you imagine if Nick Chubb comes from injury and they put him back at returning kicks?
Yeah, he would be the one name I would scratch off my list right away.
Right.
Not available.
But it's funny that you say that because when you said the guy you'd least expect, I was thinking Nick Chubb.
Well,
Yeah,
so
like,
maybe that's what he's thinking.
But because Myles Garrett wasn't even on my radar. But the answer's easy, folks. Bring back Anthony Schwartz. Let's go. He's fast. He's fast.
You're right. He is
Give him the
fast.
ball. Let's go.
Is it worth going over the rules changes or not? Do we assume that everybody is familiar with them? Because
I'll give you a quick
oftentimes when these
10-second
things happen
primer.
and we watch the game, we're like, oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'll give you the quick 10-second primer.
Okay.
Essentially, they're trying to eliminate touchbacks,
Right.
kickers kicking out of the end zone. So the new rules are developed to try and get the kicker to kick in between the 20-yard line and the goal line.
Right.
And the offensive players and the defensive players can't move until the ball is caught. They've eliminated the giant run-up, which is what led to so many violent collisions and concussions. So now the run-up isn't 40, 50 yards, so I think teams feel a little more comfortable putting these star players back there because they're not running into defenders with a 40-yard dash head start,
Which
looking
is just
to take their heads off.
kamikaze-like.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad that I love the changes.
Yeah.
It makes the play had become pointless.
Yeah,
it was
pretty
a
much.
stupid
Yeah.
play. Like if under those rules they just put it on the 25 and start it
Right.
there.
Well,
I think we're going to see more touchdown returns.
I do
We
too.
probably will. I don't know. It's not going to be like a million, but
No.
but it'll be definitely higher. You know, the extra point became meaningless, so they changed it up, and now it's not meaningless anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Now they miss sometimes.
There will be
same thing for this. Guys like Tyreek Hill.
There will be
are gonna be
starters
fascinating.
that will do
Yeah.
because now the risk of injury because you're not running up so far.
Sure.
You give Tyreek Hill an opportunity to make 1 or 2 guys miss and he's gone.
Especially in a big spot in the game. Like, you might not use Tyreek Hill the whole game, but, hey, we're down 4
Give it
with
a
a minute
shot.
to go. Let's put Tyreek Hill back there.
Yeah, it's kind of a Hail Mary, but it could work.
Right.
All right, we're taking our last break. When we come back, will the Cavs find a meaningful player with the 20th pick in the first round? They're back in the first round. We'll debate that when the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on WKYC comes right back. Welcome back. We've talked Browns, and now we have to kick it over to the Cavs because they have first round pick again this year. They obviously lost the last couple of years with the Donovan Mitchell trade, but they picked 20th overall based on their the way they finished the regular season and in the playoffs. Guys, do you have any hope that they can, at number 20, find an impactful player in the draft?
Well, listen, I think the Cavs are an organization that brings people along very slowly anyway, and this draft is not going to be a top-end draft with a lot of talent. So given the fact that, you see what the talent is, plus the Cavs don't really, they'll play in the summer league, but they're very apprehensive unless things change with the new coach. I don't think they're going to find a person, especially given how good the roster is, that's going to make a big impact.
Jay, you see the list of guys who have been drafted 20th overall the last 5 years?
It's not a lot of standouts there.
Yeah, there's a couple of good players on that list, but by all accounts, I'm no expert on the NBA draft. I don't pretend to be, but the experts on the NBA draft say this might be the worst draft ever.
Yeah, in terms of talent.
In fact, Mike heard somebody say, a guy who does this for a scout or does this for a living, said, when you picture this draft, imagine taking the top 10 picks off the board from
Ryan
a normal
Russillo
draft.
said that, right?
Ryan Russillo said that, yes. And he said NBA scout / GM
told
him that you take the top 10 picks out, and that's what you have.
Essentially, the first pick in this draft is a guy who would normally be the 11th pick in the draft. That's not a good sign if you're picking 20th.
Typically in the draft, there's surprises. There's guys that are taken later that are better than what the draft thought they would be. And there's also guys that don't live up to what they thought they would be. But in general, and Mike, you can help me on this. In general, I think the NBA draft the experts that judge it as a collective have been pretty good.
Absolutely.
We were told, obviously, the LeBron Carmelo draft. Everybody knew Chris Bosh. Everybody knew that was going to be a landmark draft. So I think in the macro, the experts are always dead on. And the consensus from the experts is awful draft. Not below average draft. Awful draft.
They said the Okoro draft, right, was going to be bad.
Yes,
that year.
right.
They said the year Anthony Bennett was drafted that it wasn't.
They
a
knew that was
good
a
draft,
bad one.
and they were right.
They were
overall.
right. Yeah.
So yeah.
So based on that, and also based on this, where's the spot? How is whoever comes into this team with the 20th pick? Where is he going to impact this roster? So based on the roster construction and the fact that it's supposed to be an all-time colossal draft, bad. Mike, am I wrong? Do you see anybody coming out of that 20 slot that will change lives?
Change lives, maybe not, but could be an impact player. I do think it's possible. And this is just a bad draft this year. Teams have known this has been a bad draft for 2 or 3 years and have purposely traded picks out of this draft.
I know they have.
Because I don't want to. But if you look at the prospects, these are just guys that have fallen into the area where the Cavs are picking in positions of need. It is a pretty heavy wing draft, which does fit the Cavs' needs. However, none of these wings have like elite top-tier upside. No. But some of these guys could come in. Tristan Da Silva is a guy I like out of Colorado. He's 6'8", kind of a playmaker, who he reminds me a little bit of Brandon Ingram, who we've talked about earlier on the YouTube show. You look at the last 5 years at the 20th overall pick. They found some good players, and that's in good drafts. The one good news about this being a bad draft is there's no consensus. You could look at 10 different draft boards, and they could have 30 different players in 30 different spots.
You know what I'm gonna do? You missed somebody, man. I'm taking Caitlin Clark. Let me get her at 20.
No, I think we all missed somebody. The true
20.
answer to this question is
Bronny
which
James.
player could make an impact on this Cavs roster is Bronny. I don't have the answer to this, though. Is he going to be around at 20? Or is he even going to be drafted? I read through some scouting reports of the pre-draft combine, and they speak of him like he's trash, like he's garbage. He's got no skill set. First of all, it didn't help him that they've lied up 3 inches on his height for his entire career. When he measured at 6'1", scouts were looking at each other going, wait a minute, where's the real Bronny and who is this? That wasn't great. And then they said he's not a good shooter. He's not an he's not an average defender. I think he was below average in every single category.
I'm drafting
So
him.
draft Bronny at 20 in hopes that you reel in Pops, and then you've got a meaningful draft pick at number 20.
He said he was only going to work out for the Lakers and the Suns, by the way.
We don't care about that.
Man, you got to drop the entitled attitude. You really do. He should be, based on the scouting reports, he's going to be lucky if he gets to wear an NBA jersey.
He will because his last name is James, but that's it.
Yeah, but, okay, so is that sustainable?
No.
If he comes up and he's exposed, then he's not going to stick around. So we'll find out.
Great idea by LeBron. He has just bet beautifully. He's going to play in the league somewhere.
Well, he made the statement that has everybody thinking the same thing. We're done. Don't forget, if you like the show here, watch us every Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 on YouTube. You can time shift it and watch it whenever you want. Have a great weekend. Go Bulls Little League team. Post an update on the Twitter page later tonight for all the fans that are on the edges of their seats. Will they be at first place by tomorrow?
Peace.